Take the TV show Cops and mix in the first 48, and you've got the weird docudrama Netflix series Missing, Dead or Alive. It follows a missing persons unit in South Carolina, but the execution just left me scratching my head a bit. This documentary series follows officers from a South Carolina Sheriff's Department as they urgently search for individuals who've disappeared under troubling circumstances. So there are 4 episodes, and the series covers 3 missing person cases. The way this is produced really had me questioning whether it was all staged in a dramatization or really what, because the cameras, they're following these investigators sort of like they would in the show Cops. But then there are moments mid-investigation where the camera crew is interviewing potential suspects. At this point, it feels very produced and fake, which is both disappointing and strange. But even with this oddity, the cases, they're fairly intriguing and engaging. We get the initial information, and then we watch the investigators move into action, creating their game plans and visiting locations, along with questioning witnesses and family members. Now, most of the time, the episode ends on a cliffhanger, and then works towards the resolution in the following episode. Now, for me, probably the most frustrating thing about this entire series is the lack of questioning that we get to witness. There's so many investigation points that feel like they'd be inherent and natural for the police to dive into, but they go unasked and unaddressed. Now, for instance, in one scenario, this dude goes missing who was on his way to cash a $10,000 lottery ticket. Now, not only is he missing, but his phone and the ticket are missing too. And as we watch throughout the case, even when there's a resolution, certain questions, they're just left hanging. Now, maybe this is because that once the missing persons unit finds who they're searching for, any additional case points are transferred to different departments. But that's left for us to either assume or imagine because it's never discussed. And this actually drove me nuts while watching, causing me to just yell questions at the investigators on the screen as if they could hear me and then follow through on the seemingly natural inquiries. Now, this is going to sound very disturbing and probably morbid, but because this show is called Missing, Dead or Alive, I was going to be a bit disappointed if one of the cases didn't unfortunately end with somebody's demise. If it doesn't, just call the show Missing, right? Now, I'm not going to give details, but that thought, it was really something that went through my head. Gives you a small insight into me. I like the officers we get to follow on the cases. And one dude in particular is amazing when he's directly addressing suspects or witnesses. But when he's doing a voiceover narration, it's painfully obvious that he's reading a script and it comes across as a very unnatural delivery. And when he's talking on camera, that's when he shines. There's also a point, and even though it's a narration, he recounts a tremendously horrible story in order to illustrate mindsets in a current case that he's working. Now, this is not for the faint of heart, and it's incredibly sad to hear. So you really got to beware if you're watching this and the scene with the officer eating alone at a diner comes on, you're about to hear a terrible story. The production value of the show is top-notch. The camera work is intimate, being sure to capture all the nuances of emotion from both family members of the missing as well as the investigators themselves. And there's some beautiful drone shots that are captured too. And as impressive as some of them look, they also give away that some of the interactions are set up in advance because we watch a key person in a case just standing out in a yard looking out into the distance as the drone then flies overhead. Now, this would be extremely rare if it weren't staged. And really, I know that's a minor nitpick. The footage, though, it's impressive and it's beautiful. And there are points within the series that follow the investigators into their home lives. And while some of it works to complement the present case, at other times, it feels a bit like filler, making the investigators part of something that's more of a reality TV show than a documentary series. Now, this is a quick and it's an engaging binge, but it does have the potential to frustrate thanks mostly to the unaddressed questions that should be brought up in an investigation. The story content is compelling, and it can be both infuriating and sad, but also mixed with some hope and joy, too. If you're into true crime or you like police investigation shows, you may want to check this one out. There's no sex or nudity, but there is profanity and descriptions of terrible violence. Now, as a reminder, I don't give couch ratings to documentaries, but I do recommend giving Missing, Dead or Alive a watch. So, have you seen any good documentaries lately? What did you watch? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.